partner here, Umar, he's actually the president of Beyond Emails, which is awesome, of BSF, of the entire company. He's my guy. And he runs all of our BSF email accounts, as well as all of our clients as well. And we're going to be walking through exactly what we're doing on the back end for email to go ahead and really, really drive awesome results, guys.
So overall, what we've been able to do over the last, I'd say a couple of years has been amazing. We've really dissected email and SMS marketing as a whole and really realized how amazing of a platform or a marketing stream it really is for all services, really. It's not limited to just one type of industry. It's always limited, or it's always open to every single type of industry. And I know you guys are inside a bunch of different industries, so this is definitely going to be a good one for you guys. But without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen.
And Umar, one of the most important things that I want everyone to kind of understand as well is with email, with SMS, these are our assets. Our lists are our assets, right? And any business owner at all, right, needs to own their assets. That's the most important part, right? Actually being able to nurture your own business and your own, individual list and your own actual movement. You don't want to rely on always outside sources, right? That's why we're collecting email, we're collecting phone numbers, so we could go ahead and market on the interior of our companies.
So first, let's dive right into it. Exactly what is email marketing from the very top, right? I noticed a lot of you mentioned that you guys are using it, you guys are interested in it, regardless, whatever it is. Essentially what email marketing is, right? It's another stream of revenue that you can introduce to your store, right? So you guys might have Facebook ads going on, you guys might have Instagram ads, TikTok ads, whatever it is. Those are working great, but those are all paid ads, right? Now, email marketing doesn't necessarily have to be paid in the sense that you think, where you have to put, you have to bid for a certain thing, you have to fight against other companies, because this is your own IP, your intellectual property. You essentially own that list, right? The amount of money that you put into ads and you collected all those customers, you would think that you wouldn't own that list. You do own that list. So whichever people have bought from you, those are all people that are basically a part of your community, a part of your group, and you can utilize that and leverage that to your benefit, right? One of the key things that you must do when it comes to email marketing is actually focusing on your strategy. What can you do to make your system better, right? And this consists of course, flows as well as campaigns and segmentation, so you could actually find the exact proper groups within your customers, right? Because say you have over 10,000 customers, right? Not all 10,000 of them are active, not all 10,000 of them are essentially going to be opening your emails. So you want to make sure that you're targeting and hitting the right people within those groups, right? Similarly to how you run ads. You're not going to be just doing a broad spectrum and hitting every single person and their grandmas, right? So it's very, you dive into a lot of different things when it comes to email marketing, and it can get a bit overwhelming, but hence today's call, I want to make sure that it's not overwhelming for you guys. It's very simple, and at the end of the day, it's something you guys can do and implement for yourselves and your guys' businesses today, right? A huge thing that a lot of people overlook when it comes to email marketing is they think that they can just go ahead and send out emails and they'll perform well, which sometimes it is the case. But if you really want to have a good system, you need to focus on effective inbox deliverability as well as unique designs. When you pair those two things together, honestly, there's not a lot of things that can compare. A good brand with a great message that has amazing emails that land inside inbox. On top of that, they have great designs, is always going to convert versus a simple, normal, boring email that lands in spam that isn't hitting any of the check marks. So these are the key email flows that we have seen across the span of probably around 13, 14 different stores over the last couple of months that we've worked on that are absolutely a necessity. You have your abandoned carts, your post-purchase upsells, your site abandonments, browser abandonments, customer thank you, welcome series, and there's also a multitude of email flows that you could do. There's over 100 flows, which I'll show you shortly. And it's one of those things that there's so many different options, and a lot of people might get overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. But I'm telling you guys right now, these are the six, that you guys need to focus on and need to start, because it's the ones that are going to make or break your business's email marketing. So first things first, the abandoned carts. A lot of you might be very familiar with this. Obviously, a customer comes onto your site, and whether it be for your service, for your actual product, whatever it is that you're selling, they come onto your site. They come through an ad, wherever they come through, and then they go ahead, add something to their cart, and they go ahead and input all their details, and then for whatever reason, they go ahead and abandon it, right? Whether they're just not interested in it, they think it's too much, whatever the reason is, they lose that, and normally that connection is lost, right? we don't want to lose that connection. You know, you guys care about your business, you guys care about your customers. So what can you do to keep that relationship still going? Even though they're not a customer yet, they've shown interest in your product, they've shown interest in your business, and you want them to go ahead and stay with you guys. So what you go ahead and do, and this is obviously a system, so you guys don't have to manually do it. You set up an automated flow. This can be done through Klaviyo, this can be done through Active Campaign, this can be done through pretty much any platform, but we typically recommend either Active Campaign for service-based business, or for normal Shopify stores, Klaviyo is the best. And we'll dive more into those apps shortly as well. But once you set up this automated flow, any person that comes and goes ahead and basically abandons their cart, we're going to go ahead and have that system send out that email. Typically, we have a 5-minute trigger on it or 10-minute trigger on it, depending on what your exact service is. You might want to have a looser trigger as well as a tighter trigger when it comes to the actual time limit. And when that email gets sent out and the customer opens it, that connection is now reformed. That connection is now closed in on, because you are no longer needing to basically retarget them with the ads. And a huge thing as well, this is a huge benefit, because once they see that email, you can include your pixels into that email as well, and they could get retargeted to your ads for the people that are running ads. But even if you guys didn't, you guys have that contact forever, and now that person's opened the email, there's a 85% chance of them buying, as long as you give them an incentive, right? So you don't know the reason why they didn't buy. Honestly, you're not going to ask them why they didn't buy, but it's in your best interest to give them some sort of incentive. So whether that be a discount, whether that be pushing scarcity, or letting them know that this is only going to be available for a limited time only, that's going to be huge for you guys' success, especially with the abandoned cart system, right? Now moving on to the second one, the post-purchase upsell. Right. So this is after you've gotten that customer, after someone's gone ahead and already purchased from you guys, and you want to give them the best possible experience as possible, right? So now the post-purchase upsell, when someone buys, you want to be able to give them some sort of incentive, or whether that be an incentive or ask them for their experience, or overall some sort of testimonial for them. It doesn't really matter what you're asking or offering them, but you want to reconnect with them after they've purchased, because it shows that you care as a business. Right? As a business, if I bought something from someone and they didn't at least even send me my confirmation email, I'd be very annoyed. And some businesses are like that, but here you want to go above and beyond. Some brands, they have a confirmation, they have an order update, they have a post-purchase upsell, which 9 times out of 10 works very well, because if a customer has a very good experience with the product the first time, they're more than inclined to buy from you the second time. Moving on to the site abandonment, it's pretty much similar to the abandoned cart, but it's not to the extent where they're as warmed up, because abandoned cart, someone is actually adding something to their cart and they're actually interested in the product. But site abandonment is just so much they came onto your site and then they abandoned it, right? They left the site, and for whatever reason they left, whether they didn't want to check out what it was, maybe they saw something they didn't like, whatever it is. And this email right here, this is really cool, because you're able to capture all the people that will go onto your site. You'll get maybe 1,000 orders in a day, which is a lot, right? But you get maybe 10, 15, 20,000 sessions in a day, right? You want to be able to capture each one of those sessions, which is huge. So yes, when a customer goes ahead and abandons your site, you want to be able to send them an email asking them essentially to come back to the site, and show them different products, show them different offers, different things to basically reel them back in on a much looser level, because you don't want to be too aggressive with it. And at the same time, you don't want to be too loose with it, because you may lose the customer right there, because they might have not liked something that they've seen on the site. Now, moving on to the fourth one, the browse abandonment. So this is, I like to say, right in between the site abandonment and the abandoned cart, because this is someone that merely browses a product. They click on your service, they look at your product, right? They're not as cold as the site abandoners, where they basically leave their site, but they're not as warm as the abandoned cart people that actually added something to the cart. So these people you want to be right in the middle with. You want to be very warmed up with them and let them know, hey, you know, these are the benefits of this product. These are the benefits of X service or X product. And that will give them a really good sense of ability to go back onto the site and go ahead and purchase from you guys, or even at least add to the cart, so they can get moved into the abandoned cart flow. The whole purpose of this isn't to make them jump from A to Z or A to Z. You want to make sure that they're going to go down A, B, C, D, even sometimes skip a couple steps and go straight to the end. So that way it's as smooth as possible for them. And that's why we have all these flows with several emails without them inside them, rather than just having a couple flows with 1-2 emails, because 100% that will work better than nothing. But this is a far better system for you guys to replicate, and you guys can apply to your own business. The last two ones are a bit less basically sales orientated, meaning the first 4 ones you'll definitely make the most sales from, but these two are more for your guys' branding, for you guys' actual overall success as a business and your brand image. So your customer thank you, that comes standards with all businesses. You want to make sure that you're thanking your customer after they purchase and overall asking for their experience. So we don't typically go into that one too in depth because everyone probably has one in place. And if you guys don't, I definitely recommend you do, or else your customers won't be very happy. But the last one is the welcome series. And we also like to call this a nurture series. Some of you might know, but this is people that basically engage through your pop-ups. So sometimes we have pop-ups on our site or be flyouts, whatever it is. But when this flyout comes out or this pop-up comes out, then you want to be able to give them some sort of offer incentive so they could sign up to your list, and then they get entered into the welcome series or the nurture series. So this one's typically 3 to 5-ish emails going over who you guys are, what your business is, and how you want them to basically fit into your business, right? Whether that be you guys selling a product or some sort of service, you want to make sure that you're sharing the experience of past customers and past people and are overall benefiting you as a business as well as your customers, and how you can replicate that for them as, you know, you being another customer for yourselves. So diving into the first thing that I touched on is Klaviyo, right? This is the actual email app we use. We actually do this. This is something that we're not just saying you guys should check out yourself. This is something that we've done for actually over 100+ brands. And it's crazy to think that not a lot of people know about this app. These are just 12 abandonment emails. So that abandoned cart that I was showing you, or the browser abandonment that I was showing you, this is just 12 emails of those different types of emails. They help you figure out what's best for your business. This is both for email and SMS, but you can just go to see if there's 12 different types of one email, you can think about really how many email types of flows are there, right? And you can even build your own from scratch. So there's probably more out there that, you know, sky's the limit at that point. There's more out there that you could probably apply to your own business than there even is available on their platform right now. So there's definitely a lot to do with it, and I wouldn't see why not. What you could dive into it and see what works best for your business. But yeah, overall, Klaviyo is a crazy platform for you guys to have on your business, whether it be inside Shopify, whether it be you guys have your own sort of backend to ClickFunnels, whatever it is, you need Klaviyo or you need some sort of email platform to delegate all these emails, right? Because you can't just send out emails by yourself. You can't individually email all your customers. That'd be crazy, right? You need to have a proper system in place, and we'll touch on campaigns later on as well. But Klaviyo by far is the best possible app you guys can download and you guys can utilize as well. And we've seen success with it as well. And strategies will be applied to Klaviyo, of course. So this is what the actual flow itself looks like for you guys to have a visual. So this is one of our abandoned cart flows. So for example, like I mentioned very earlier on, you have a trigger, right? The trigger in this case is the abandoned cart flow. When a checkout is started, sometimes there's things called flow filters or actual trigger filters. You can play around with those as well if you want it to be a little bit delayed, or you only want them to include a certain amount of people. For example, this we can have checkout started, but only with people that had a minimum order amount of $50. So anyone less than that, we can basically let them pass through. They don't need to get this email, but anyone above $50, they can stop and receive this email, right? So not saying that you guys would want to do that, but there's a lot of different things you can do with things like this, right? This is a very simple format of a flow. It's very linear. You know, obviously customer waits 30 minutes and they receive an email right here. And pretty much this was for a clothing brand. These guys did very well. Obviously, we're getting 40% open rates, 4% click-through rate, 2% conversion rates. And these are the numbers that you want to see, right? Obviously, starting off, you might get, 10, 20% open rates, maybe even less than that. And that's completely fine. But the whole point is for you to have some sort of system, and then you want to keep on re-optimizing that to the point where you're getting so much success to the point where there's customers telling you that, hey, I'm getting too many emails. That's if your customer's getting too many emails, that means they're very engaged with your brand, and you need to re-optimize it from that point as well. So now moving on to active campaign, right? So we've touched on Klaviyo. Klaviyo is amazing for email.
This is for like more service active,
more service
info product, right?
Exactly.
We use active as well. Active is good as well, but for physical product e-com, Klaviyo takes the cake.
Exactly, 100%. So like Justin just mentioned, this is purely for service-based things because there's a lot more things you can do in terms of Zapier and API keys, and there's a lot more technical things that you can do. Klaviyo is more, direct to consumer and direct to customer type of thing, right? And with the active campaign, well, let me just say it's definitely a lot more difficult than Klaviyo, I will say, because there's a lot of different triggers for you guys to run. And in terms of setting up the actual automations inside active campaign, it could be very confusing as well, because there's not as many different things you can do on ActiveCampaign compared to Klaviyo. Their segmentation isn't very the best, but when it comes to their automations for service-based business, it is the best by far. I've seen it on multiple platforms, and this is the best by far. And you're overall better off having a platform like this that doesn't offer a lot of different things, and you use, for example, Klaviyo for sending out campaigns, but then ActiveCampaign for your automations. But mind you, this is strictly for service-based businesses. If you're running a normal store selling t-shirts or selling products and things like that, you're better off on obviously using Klaviyo, because you can directly integrate that with Shopify and it works out best with that. If you're on ClickFunnels, if you're on some sort of platform where you have a landing page, everything like that, then I would definitely recommend going with ActiveCampaign and having those same flows that we went over built out on that. And it's a little bit more intuitive when it comes into things, because you have to add API keys, you have to add different triggers, and you have to add actual like link trackings for that. But when all said and done, it's a very lucrative platform for you guys to be using on the side of Klaviyo as well. Diving into email campaigns and segmentations. So this is the other 50% of your of email marketing, right? The first 50% is probably going to be Klaviyo's emails, flows, and everything like that that we just talked about and went over on those things, right? But this is going to be the other half. This is one of the most important things that you guys can probably do for your business. So diving into exactly how you can use it to your guys' advantage, right? They consist of different types of copies that are created, right? Whether you guys create them, and I'll also share a couple platforms that, you guys don't even have to do the heavy lifting, the heavy work, and these platforms do it for you. And it's crazy. A lot of people don't even know about it, right? Because they think email's obsolete. But yeah, you definitely want to include email campaigns into your guys' flow, into your guys' system when it comes to email marketing. Different types of campaigns you can definitely include are sales emails, holiday promotions, thank you emails, product-based emails are huge, talking about benefits, everything like that. And you may get to a point after the first couple of months where you run out of ideas, but I guarantee you there's so much more that you could be doing, and just a tiny little change in your emails can make so much more of a difference, right? Making sure you're sending it to the right customer is imperative. It's huge. Like we mentioned earlier on segmentation, sending to that right customer. Say you have over 10,000 customers. Not all 10,000 of them are the exact same people. Some of them have been active over the last 90 days. Some of them have been active for the last only 30 days, right? So you want to make sure that you're hitting the right segments, you're creating the right segments, right? And you're able to do that within Klaviyo very well. Even through ActiveCampaign, you're able to do that, not to the same amount of extent, but definitely in Klaviyo, I recommend you guys go into segmentations and play around with that as well. And there's a bunch of different things you could do in that. First, before we talk about how we can get into inbox, we'll talk about how to not get, or how we land into spam and how to avoid that, right? So essentially, a lot of people, they don't understand how emails land into spam. They just think, oh, something's wrong with the actual emails, but more often than not, it has to do with your deliverability, right? For example, I can send an email to Justin and he'll have that email land inside his inbox, but I can send that email to Dylan and Dylan will receive it inside his spam, right? The reason this happens is because Justin is far more active, and he actually knows what this domain is. He actually signed up to it. He's inside this list. But Dylan, for example, he might have unsubscribed. He might have only opened one email. He might have pushed it to his spam. But whatever the reason is, Dylan is uninterested. Justin is engaged and interested, right? So now when you put that into perspective, right, what can you do to engage your inactive audiences? You'd think it'd be very difficult to do so, but no, it's definitely still possible. When we send emails out, we send it to, of course, the active people as well as the inactive people, because the whole goal is you want to take that group of, whether it be a couple thousand people that are inactive and transfer over to the not buyers, but to the active people. And eventually those active people will turn into buyers. But some key things to definitely avoid inside emails is having a bunch of different email triggers, a bunch of different CTAs. So if you have over, I believe, 5 or 6 different links, by different, I mean, you can have the same link, but if you have a different variety of links and it's sending them to very, weird landing pages, whatever it is, and Gmail is very smart. Gmail is smarter than any one of us here. So they will definitely find out what those problems are, what those triggers are, and they will throw your stuff in spam. And then once you're in spam, it's very difficult to get out of spam while you still using that same sender domain, but there still are ways for you to get out of it. But at that point, we typically just recommend creating a whole different email under the same domain, as long as you're not blacklisted, which it's very difficult for you guys to get blacklisted unless you're running a very bad offer. To land inside inbox, it's actually not that difficult once you're avoiding spam. There's 2 different tabs, of course. You'll end up inside an actual promotions or inbox. The only way for you to basically, I don't know if you guys are familiar with promotions, but it's basically the tab that's, you know, on the side. Not a lot of people open it. I rarely ever go through it. I only ever see things inside my inbox. But to avoid that, you just have to keep your customers engaged, right? So once they fall below, I believe a 60% deliverability of them not opening the emails, and they fall into the promotions because they're not clicking on the emails. So you want to make sure that no worries. You want to make sure that you're sending emails in the landing sent inbox, and the way that you can do that very well is by sending very engaging subject lines or preview lines, things to get people actually engaged in the email, right? If you have, you know, a sale inside your subject line, then people are a lot more inclined to opening that email. Or a testimonial, like find out what Justin said about our program, or find out what this person said about our program or product, right? Then people are going to be a lot more keen on opening that email and finding out what it is. But if you had a normal thing, a normal subject line called testimonials from our clients, or this is what we did, or something very opening, exactly, if you have a very good hook, then that's going to perform very well. And Trey, to answer that question, typically, and we'll do a Q&A after, but I just really want to touch on that. It's not always question subject lines. It's just overall anything that evokes curiosity, anything that makes your customer curious enough to click on that email. I definitely do it. But that being said, if you have, like, you know, 50% off sale right now, that's going to be very good. That doesn't evoke a lot of curiosity. People are going to click on that right away. But yeah. So segmentation is huge, deliverability is huge, and overall having the right sort of email going to the right customers is massive when it comes to sending out the right campaign. There's a lot of different ways that you guys can focus on and do these things for you guys' business, but overall, I do recommend you guys diving into Klaviyo and playing around with that aspect as well, and making sure that in the meantime, you guys check out that mailgenius.com and see how your deliverability really is. So this is a tip that I was talking about that does a lot of the heavy lifting, right? We use this from time to time when we're stumped, but typically we have so much content with our current clients that we never really have to do it, and we have a massive team. But back when we had a very small team, right, and our copywriters actually came to us and told us about this, and our designers told us about this. This website right here, reallygoodemails.com, right? It's good. Not sponsored by any of these websites, but basically, it may look very small. You guys have maybe never heard of it before, but basically, when you go on this website and search up essentially any sort of sale or any sort of brand, majority of brands, I'd say 90% of the brands are on this. For example, you see Dunkin' Donuts, you see a lot of billion-dollar companies on this. You can see exactly how they're sending out their emails, what subject lines are inside those emails. It's very cool, and it's crazy to me because you're able to directly access billion-dollar companies' emails that are obviously working for them, and you can sort of replicate, whether that be in layout, whether that be inside copy, whether that be inside any sort of thing. You're able to go ahead and essentially replicate that and apply it to your brand. And you know, I always say this all the time. We take a look at, you know, billion-dollar companies' emails, and we try replicating things that work in them into our own emails, because if a billion-dollar company is doing it, you guys want to be doing it as well. Yeah, a lot of people do struggle with inspiration for emails. Obviously, when it's just a one-man team or a couple people, it's very difficult after the first month or so, honestly, because you run out of ideas. Say you're sending out an email every other day, then you guys will definitely run out of email ideas after about the first month or so, because you think you've done it all, and then this obviously comes into place and helps you guys out a whole lot more.